Right guys, so welcome to another video. This one, me and Jack's actually going to talk about Piston 4. We get asked a lot of questions, don't we, about Piston 4 regarding the VXR. We're going to explain in this video what it actually is, what the causes are. There's a few causes, isn't there, really? Yeah. And also how you can prevent it. Now, this isn't going to be a video of us explaining what to look out for when you buy the VXR. I've already done a video on that. Link is in the description. That's for any turbo car as well. For the guy who actually mentioned in the other video that I should stop being tight and give Jack an RP at, Jack, you've always had one, haven't you?
Yep.
He just never wears it. Why, Jack?
Because it's, I don't know. Put
him on spot. No, he just forgets. But he has always had one from the beginning. Always. You do admit that, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, I admit that.
First off, we're going to talk about obviously what Piston 4 is. So I'm going to pass you on to Jack now, and he's going to briefly explain what the piston's for and what it does.
All cars run on pistons, whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6.
Its purpose is to transfer force from the expanding gas in the cylinder to the crankshaft
by the piston rod or connecting rod.
So with that being said, Piston 4 on the VXR is a very common problem. Now, this is one of them things where I think Vauxhall never wanted to actually admit that it was their fault. Now, the issue that they had with the Zafira is where they were setting on fire, they kind of didn't have anything to fall back on, so they kind of had to admit that, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's no other reason for it to fall, like, obviously on fire. Now, with the piston, people can just say you've misused it, you've not done this, you've not done that, you've not done this. Although when you buy a Corsa VXR with that power, you want to use that power. So we're now going to explain little bits of how it happens.
Got to shrunk my trousers.
So what causes your Piston 4 to actually melt in the VXR? It's a number of things, and we're going to go through them right now just so you guys have a bit more insight on, obviously, there's certain things that does contribute towards it. So you've just gone and bought a VXR. The first thing that a lot of people do is they go and get it remapped, don't they?
Yeah.
Which, to us, is probably one of the worst things you could actually do on the standard engine. So why, you might ask?
You could have a bad map, or you could have the standard injectors on a Corsa VXR. They're already about on the max anyway from standard.
What are they, 295cc?
Yeah.
I think the 295cc. And they actually recommend that you actually upgrade to 395cc before you get a remap, which has to be mapped in as well. And as Jack just said, they are on the limit. So basically it starves the piston of the proper fuel and air ratio, doesn't it? Which causes, obviously, the Piston 4 to melt. We just want to say as well that a lot of people put intercoolers on and everything else and get stage 1, stage 2 and everything else as well. Now you can change the injectors, you can do all the other things. Obviously you can do bits and bobs that will support the power that you need. However, your pistons will probably still fail unless you forge it. Now even a forged engine, let's say, that can still blow, can't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not just on a VXR, that can be on any car. It can be on the 350, it can be on a Supra, it can be on a Skyline, it can be on anything, can't it? Skyline. Don't spoil it, Jack.
On the mapping side, a lot of people get hard cut limiters mapped in. That's not good for standard internals because it causes a lot of strain. But Corsa VXRs anyway, they just pop and bang with an exhaust anyway. Mine does, his does, and they make fire.
Yeah, they both make flames, both make bangs, crackles, pops. I mean, you may enjoy a hard cut limited to start with, but it's not something that your car will thank you for later on.
Number 2, we got warming up and cooling down. What I mean by warming up is, when you start your car, I wouldn't even drive it till it comes off cold start, because your oil's going to be thick, your engine's going to be cold. It's not operating temperatures yet, so it's not good for your engine.
One way you can tell whether it's actually warmed up is by the RPM. So when you actually initially turn it on, my car personally sits at about 1100 to 1200 RPM. It then drops to about 900. Now, I don't move it until it drops to 900. Now, I never boot the car until I know it's properly warmed up. Like I'll drive it for a good 10-15 minutes before I even boot it. But it does drop to as well to 700 when you set at traffic lights. So that is kind of an indication when it is warming up. However, you do need to make sure your coolant is the right temperature. Now, a lot of people get a coolant gauge installed and they think, oh, I can boot it now. But just remember, your oil takes a lot longer to warm up than your coolant because it is a lot thicker. It's a lot thicker body. and there's a lot more of it as well.
What I mean by cooling down is when you come to stop in your car, don't turn it off. Just leave it running for another 30 seconds or so. You'll just get hot spots on your turbo from where hot oil's sat. It's not good.
No, that damages your engine over time.
It breaks turbos.
A lot of people as well get a turbo timer installed. We may be getting one of them eventually. In fact, we probably won't, to be fair, because I want one anyway. But that actually just allows your engine to run for a lot longer while the ignition's not in the car, and then it cuts itself off, so you don't have to worry about cooling it down. But we'll touch on that in another video. So we've got number 3, which is not being serviced very often. Now, a lot of people overlook this and think, oh, it needs to be done every year. Ideally, yes, but when you are driving a VXR or any other car where you're putting your foot down, servicing your car regularly is one of the things that's going to keep it alive. This boy's car, original pistons, original rods, 122,000.
Almost 124,000 now.
Nearly 124,000 miles, and it's not had piston 4 blow once. That's because he's got regular servicing, he looks after his car, and everything's done properly.
And original turbo.
And that's because he looks after it. Why is it important to make sure your car is surfaced often?
Because if you don't have your oil changed, your oil gets thick over time, and if it's thick, it can't get into all the galleries that it needs to. Well, it can, but it'll be a struggle and there'll be a lack of it.
Which means you're going to have some piston 4 problems, basically, if you do not keep up to date with them. Obviously, make sure you check your coolants as well all the time. Coolant can drop unexpectedly, which can cause a piston to blow as well if you've got no coolant, because there's nothing keeping the engine cold. Don't fall for that, don't do that. Make sure you're checking it regularly and getting it serviced.
Number 4 is driving behaviour. You don't want to be driving your car on the limiter all the time, or at all. Don't take it to the limiter.
Keegan. I mean, you've got a VXR, and I completely understand why people do it. I do understand that, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, but you look after your car like we've mentioned. The car looks after you. That's with any car as well. If you're gonna put your foot down all the time on the limiter, it's not going to last very long, is it?
No.
Don't get me wrong, you can still have your fun in your car, you can put your foot down, but just don't literally, as soon as you get in it, put your foot down straight away. Make sure you are warming it up like we mentioned earlier as well. Make sure you're driving it sensibly when you need to drive it sensibly. If you get an open road and you're not going to put anybody in danger, by all means put your foot down. Sticking to the speed limits, of course.
Yeah.
You know, they're there to have fun, but just make sure you are looking after it, make sure you're driving it as it should. Don't be handbrake turning it when you shouldn't need to. Don't bash your top limiter. So if you are actually going to drive like that all the time, don't be shocked when piston 4 blows, because it probably will blow. These cars aren't the most reliable. Expect the worst if you're going to drive like that. So that there is the 4 reasons, well, 4 of the common reasons that we can think of that actually cause piston 4. Now, there is other reasons, and other people have their own opinions on why piston 4 does go, and obviously that is down to other reasons. These are just a few outlines for those people who are keep asking these questions and are wanting to know more about piston 4. These are the common ones that we've basically found is the issue with the VXR problem. We're going to now talk about some precautionary measures that you can put in place to prevent piston 4. That was a tongue twister.
Help prevent. It's not going to prevent it, but it's going to help.
To help prevent it. So what we're going to do there is, like I said, we're going to obviously talk about that now and go over a few things that you can do to try and help prevent it. See the arms and cheeks. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about ways that you can prevent piston 4 from happening to you. So we're going to go through them options, and the first one is make sure you are using the correct fuel. And now we don't mean putting diesel in a petrol car. We mean make sure you're using uprated fuel, so the Shell V-Power or Tesco Momentum, the actual like super unleaded, because it has a higher octane count, which is obviously better for your engine as well. It might cost, say, what, £2-3 extra a tank.
It's got extra additives as well.
Yeah, so it's 10 times better for your car, and it's worth a little bit extra as well.
Number 2, servicing. We recommend at least your oil and filter changed at about 6,000 miles, and then at 12,000, air, spark plugs, and oil, and your coolant.
So basically a full service at 12,000.
Everything, and your brake fluid.
So your oil again at the 12,000 mark. This just basically keeps your car in good condition, keeps everything working the way it should, giving it the right fluid to run properly as well, ensuring that everything's all fresh and not old and crusty.
Rusty crusty.
So with that being said, me and Jack have a unit, or we're going to be getting a unit. Again, that's taking forever.
Still waiting.
Yeah, but it is coming. We are going to be able to do services, so we can do them a lot cheaper than most garages, probably all garages. So if you ever want any of that doing, come to us. Same as boost gauges, anything else like that. We do everything. So the next one is, obviously, we've touched on these things in the things that cause piston fall. Basically, making sure your car is warmed up and cooled down properly. Make sure that you are not doing a Keegan bashing, limiter bashing, so make sure you're driving it properly. Make sure you are, don't laugh, make sure you are obviously respecting your car as well. These are all things that you can do that is in your power to prevent piston fall from having any issues and stopping it melting. So the last thing now we're going to touch on is obviously remapping. Just make sure you are getting the correct supporting mods that you need to have it remapped first, so like your injectors and such. Don't just go straight out and get it remapped, because you will end up crying 6 months down the line when piston fall does blow.
And go to a proper mapper.
Yes, make sure you go into a reputable mapper as well. Don't get any of these chips that you can buy on eBay that, oh look, it's a 20 quid chip or set, or somebody's mate Dave down the street knows somebody called Jeff or whatever. Don't buy any of them off of people. Make sure you go into a proper reputable place, because cheap maps don't end well. It costs a lot more in the long run. Just want to as well point out Young Cars products, all available in the description down below. Also, Rusty Autos page, make sure you like it. It's going to be up here somewhere on Facebook. We may actually do an Instagram account for that as well, so you can message that. We are doing servicing, mods, boost gauges, other gauges, basically everything, aren't we? Exhaust, the whole lot, whole shebang that we can actually do, we are going to do, aren't we? As well as vinyl wrapping, anything you want wrapping, interior parts. We may touch on a little bit of spraying as well, but obviously that's going to come later on down the line. So Jack's got a new Instagram, up the screen right here. He's finally joined the Rusty family, aren't you?
Yeah.
So make sure you give him a follow and show him some love as well. And also we are going to do a Q&A, so we're going to do another video like this where we're going to answer your guys' questions. What we want you to do now is comment down below any questions that you have for me or Jack, or anything you want to know about either the VXL or anything in future, or anything about personal life, anything like that. We will answer all your questions, so make sure you're firing them down below, and do let us know, obviously, what you want to ask. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Just a little bit.